Hello, I'm Bill Kalina. I'm the Executive Director here at the Morris Arboretum on this lovely spring day. It's of course bittersweet because of the COVID-19 closures. You can't be here to enjoy the Arboretum with me. But I thought that a little tour of what's in bloom right now around the Arboretum, some of our special plants, might brighten your day. So join me on this tour of what's in bloom at the Morris Arboretum. As you can see, the Magnolia slope as you enter the Arboretum is in full bloom at this point. Ironically, one of the best bloom years we've had for magnolias in a long time because of the long, cool spring. And we're so sorry that you can't be here in person to see it, but hopefully this video helps you to experience a little bit. I'm going to go through and talk about a few of the magnolias specifically that are in bloom at the moment. First magnolia that I've got here is a hybrid, Magnolia kewensis, Wada's memory. You can see it's in full flower up there on top, not so much down at the bottom. That's characteristic of this tree. It tends to flower more toward the top. Also notice how narrow the growth habit is, very pyramidal growth habit. That's what makes this particular magnolia a popular landscape specimen, is it doesn't get quite as wide and sprawling as some of the other species. But in full bloom now, maybe a little bit going by. As you can see, the petals are starting to drop off of it. Next up is Magnolia Susan. This is another hybrid between the star magnolia, Magnolia stellata, and another species, Lilifolia nigra, and it's a little bit later blooming than the star magnolias, and so one nice thing about this plant is it escapes some of the early frosts that tend to do in magnolias in many years. It also has a very compact shape. These were originally bred by the National Arboretum in the 1950s. You can see a close-up of the flowers there. And part of what they call the Little Girls series. There's a bunch of them, all known for this compact shape, a little bit longer, later bloom. This one, Susan, has very nice dark flowers, as you can see. Here's another one in the Little Girls series. This is Magnolia Ricky. Like Susan, this was planted 35 years ago, so you can see that it's maintained that rounded, small, compact shape that people really appreciate about this National Arboretum series. Why is he showing this tree? Well, this is Magnolia denudata, the Yulan Magnolia. This is the earliest of the magnolias to flower here on the Magnolia slope at the Morris Arboretum. It was in full bloom a couple weeks ago. You can see it's not anymore, but I'm showing this because this is one of the parents of the many yellow magnolias which have grown in popularity in the last 15 years. And so we're going to look at some of those next. Just wanted to show you what the parent looks like. Not much to look at right now, I know, but we're gazing up at the Cucumbertree magnolia, which is a native forest tree. This actually grows, I've seen them as big as 90 feet tall or so, and not even really leafing out yet, but this is the other parent of most of the yellow magnolias that are popular today. So you can see it brings size and very late blooming into the hybrid picture. In front of us is Magnolia Elizabeth. This is one of the first and one of the best known of the yellow magnolias that resulted from crosses done at the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens in the late 70s on. And you can see how lovely this, just starting to open up the flowers. Yellow magnolias, like the Susan and the Betty and some of the others we were looking at, are a little bit later flowering, so they don't get nipped by the frost as much as some of the earlier species, but just a beautiful light tinge. So this is the cross of the Yulan Magnolia with the Cucumbertree Magnolia. And here's Butterflies, which is a newer introduction with darker yellow colored flowers. You can see the breeders are now working for darker flowers and more compact shape. Butterflies is still a pretty big tree, but the flower is more of approaching a canary yellow. Widener Woods is looking lush and beautiful right now. Most of the wildflowers and shade perennials are up and either blooming or in leaf at least. Look at a few of them in detail. We have a number of Barrenwort species. Epimedium is in the collection. This is a large pink flowered species, Epimedium brachyrrhizum. You can see the old evergreen leaves on there, and then the flowers just coming out and the new growth to follow. Epimedium lishihchenii, on the other hand, has leaves that come out about the same time as the flowers, and I just love the look of those beautiful red emerging leaves with those soft yellow flowers. Just an absolutely beautiful plant. All the epimediums that are commonly available are easy to grow shade plants that can take quite a bit of dryness, but do best with a little bit of moisture in the soils and fertility. We have a number of winter hazels, Coreopsis, in the collections here at the Arboretum. This is a plant in the witch hazel family that blooms this time of year. What's interesting is that although there are a number of different species, the flowers look basically the same on all of them. This very soft pastel yellow, dangling clusters of flowers. The main difference is the size that the plants grow and details of the leaves and really the minute details of the flowers. What we're looking at here is Coreopsis glabrescens, which is one of the larger growing species. This one has retained a lot of its seeds from the previous year that you can see here. And then over here is another species, Coreopsis pauciflora. To be honest, I think this is probably the best species for many landscapes because it doesn't grow quite as large, probably half the size of most of the winter hazels. You can see the flowers, although yes, the flower racemes are a little bit shorter, the color is the same. I do have to admit that this plant has been cut back. If you zoom in there, if I zoom in, you can see the stumps on there where it was cut back probably 5 years ago or so. And this is a great way to manage many flowering shrubs in the wintertime, to cut them down near to the ground and have them resprout. When they start getting lanky, starting to get old, you're probably familiar with this when dealing with lilacs, but it's something that is easily accomplished with many deciduous flowering shrubs.